So we're just going to do two slides. If you have the full PowerPoint, we're going to stop after two slides here, and then we're going to do the rest of it on Wednesday. You read about in the textbook what happened during Clinton's, during the 1990s in terms of foreign policy. And quite honestly, it's a little thin, and that's on purpose. Much more Bill Clinton's administration was doing these things that Anthony Lake was talking about here. Not perfectly, but that was the idea. Did follow through on a lot of that stuff. But obviously, the main focus for the Clinton administration was domestic stuff. And as long as we had that sort of metaphor of we're putting out the world's remaining fires, there was stuff that happened in the 90s that was a big deal. But honestly, nothing in the 1990s really came close to rivaling anything about the Cold War. And Americans didn't really think so. Like even the genocide in Rwanda, that was bad. That completely sucked. But that was not the Cold War. That didn't really endanger Americans or anything like that. And throughout, from 1992 to 2000, there wasn't anything that sort of said, national security is a huge deal. You better pay attention to this. And so what candidate Clinton wanted to do on that, he could kind of keep doing. He wasn't like when George W. Bush was elected, he said, we're going to kind of pull things back, blah, blah, blah. And then the first year of his presidency, 9/11 happened, and he had to change everything completely. So that didn't really happen to Clinton. Clinton, things stayed pretty calm, relatively speaking, on the international level. So democracy promotion for Clinton remains this rhetorical cornerstone for all 8 years. And I don't just mean that he was just giving lip service to it. What I mean is that he continued to use this language the whole time. He didn't at some point have a shift like Reagan did, where he shifted sort of from kind of a neoliberal to or a neoconservative to sort of a defensive realist thing. He was pretty set the whole time. Again, part of this just being because foreign policy was not Clinton's jam at all. I mean, he gets better at it as he goes. And the great thing for him, though, is that nothing really happened in terms of foreign policy that he couldn't sort of handle. I know that sounds weird to say it that way, but that's kind of what happened. The 1990s was a relatively, and let me be clear about that, relatively peaceful time. If you were in Africa, it was not peaceful. If you were in a number of places, it was not peaceful. But for the United States and for the president, it was. Increased trade and free trade is a very important part for liberalism, remember, because if we have free trade, we have more trade. And if we have more trade, it makes it more expensive to go to war with each other. So this is going to be a very important thing. For him and for the liberals, this is going to keep new democracies democratic. As you become, especially in Eastern Europe, as those become democracies, they're going to get woven into the European Union, which means they're also going to get woven into commerce around the world. Places like Poland are going to go from kind of not that great in the 1980s to really growing economies in the 1990s. And that success is going to bolster the democratic governments and make people believe that democracy is a good idea. The other thing is the U.S. is going to continue to gently urge authoritarians to democratize. We are not really going to be in the let's force them to become democracies business. That was the Cold War. That's going to be after 9/11. But during this time, the goal is to convince authoritarians that democracy is better by isolating them, by talking to them, but essentially saying, look at all the great things you're going to get if you're a democracy. Look how crappy life is right now if you're not. And that's going to be the idea. And not just the authoritarians. There's going to be a gentle is not a great word, but there's going to be an urging for peoples to basically claim their own freedom. But don't wait for U.S. troops to come to your rescue to do it. That's not the game. The game is sort of to say, democracy's better, but if you don't want to do it, I'm not going to make you. The focus, especially during this time, was on Latin America. So a couple of things that were important issues was Haiti. Haiti had a little coup action going on there in the United States. Again, looking out for itself on this, it didn't want a lot of Haitian refugees coming over to Florida. And so it was very interested in helping Haiti achieve some sort of stability. Same thing here with the Mexican economy. The Mexican economy in 1995 collapses. A bunch of governments' economies collapses around the world. But Mexico is so close to the United States and so tied to it that the United States essentially helped bail out the Mexican economy so that it didn't spread to the United States. That turned out to be a really good move. We didn't really feel the 1995 economic sort of collapses that were happening around the world because we helped Mexico recover from that. Now you can imagine what another president might have done in those situations. Anyways, the other one was Eastern Europe, like we talked about. It was really important that Eastern Europe become democratic, capitalist, and peaceful, so Western Europe, our main trading partner and huge ally, would also be the same. And so the Dayton Peace, this was the thing you guys watched about the end of the Bosnian War, or essentially the collapse of Yugoslavia. And then Kosovo in 1999, which there was the bombing that went on. So what we're going to do, just for the last part here, this is the end of the videos. You're going to read 3 different takes on the Kosovo War. So first you're going to read a little background on the war, and then 3 different takes on the Kosovo War. And I want you to think about, so by the end of the 1990s, was the NATO use of force for Kosovo a humanitarian intervention? Was that a good idea or a bad idea, and why? Was it done well or was it done poorly, and why? That's it.